Welcome back to the Big Fella Podcast. My name is Noah Tanner. I literally just hit the press button while Jack and I were talking. We're just going to dive right in today. This is Jack Wagoner, host of the Grateful Podcast. He and I connected just a few months ago because he had me on his podcast. So today we're going to talk about just kind of how to take care of your mental health as a man and how to as anyone who wants to feel more grateful in a life where it's kind of freaking impossible sometimes. It feels impossible sometimes to keep even a generally positive mindset. And Jack, you were just telling me you're in London, so
Yes.
tell me about that, man.
Yeah, so
Also introduce yourself. We should probably do that too.
Yeah, so I'm 18. As you said, I'm the host of the Grateful Podcast, which is I've done over 100 episodes. I released episode 110 this morning. And it really focuses on the duality of gratitude and ambition. I started it because so many people that are so ambitious feel such dissatisfaction. It's a delta between where they are and where they want to be. And I feel like people that are ambitious should strive from a place of gratitude instead. It's what I've done that's helped me fuel all the amazing growth that I've seen in my life, especially internally. So I'm going to Northeastern University studying behavioral neuroscience
Nice.
and philosophy as an add-on, just for fun. And they have a program, they have a campus in London, so I'm spending my first year here.
Do you like it?
Love it, dude. It rains a lot, but I love it here. It's the gateway to everything in Europe. I'm traveling like every other weekend.
That's awesome, dude. That's incredible. I'm incredibly jealous. Incredibly jealous. That's awesome, dude. Seriously. But I love that you mentioned the gate or the delta between gratitude and satisfaction versus ambition and wanting more. Because you and I spoke about that when I was on your podcast, which was like March or way earlier this year, or maybe even late last year. I can't even remember. It's been a while. But yeah, dude, you got some pretty gnarly guests on there, man. You got some pretty big names.
Yeah, it's been super fun talking to more and more people and just accustoming myself with that. And I don't know if you know, but I met Simon Squibb on the street here.
Are you serious? I think I saw something you post about it. That is crazy.
Yeah. But I got really nervous, and I'm not a really nervous person. I'm a rock climber. I've jumped out of a plane, didn't feel fear. I don't really get nervous, but I got very nervous for that when I met Simon Squibb. And the thing I've been talking to myself about is just it's not, you don't have to make it something big. That is normal. That should be my normal, talking to people of that caliber.
Absolutely. For the people that don't know who Simon Squibb is, tell the audience kind of what he does.
So this guy is incredible. He was homeless when he was younger, and he has now built a personal brand of over 20 million cumulative followers across platforms. It started out by him going up to random people on the street and with a microphone saying, "What's your dream?" and then trying to help them build their dream. And so now he has a company called the Help Bank. He has a podcast. He is helping people all across the world, and he's just he's a force of good in the world. So yeah,
Definitely.
He really inspired me when I was younger.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to talk about this because it is something that I've struggled with internally for years, and I've been way more aware of it and way more in tune internally of this struggle between satisfaction versus ambition. And there's a pretty phenomenal YouTube video essay I found. I'll have to find the link of it, but I think it's along the lines, the title is Hollywood's Obsession with Ambition. I think that's the name of the YouTube video. Definitely take a look because it discusses a lot of what we've spoken about. But really the core idea of that conversation is, where should you put your energy? Should you put your energy into working hard and trying to build something at all costs to improve your life, whether that's building a business, posting on social media, moving away, taking ambitious leaps, right? And grinding away and sacrificing a lot. It's effectively, anyone who has achieved anything great will know that there are required periods of extreme imbalance where, like when I lost my weight, I don't recommend this for people, and that's why I teach it in a different way. But when I lost my weight, it was obsessive. I lost it because I was obsessed, and I had nothing else to obsess over. You know, when I built my business, it consumed me for a while, right? And a lot of people don't talk about this, and you know, maybe it's because I suck at business. Who knows? I'd like to think I don't, but you know, for some people, it's very natural to be able to separate themselves from that and separate themselves from their work. But when you tip everything into one, you know, pour all your eggs into one basket, effectively, that basket is going to get better. Like, you are going to see growth, but at the sacrifice of not seeing growth in other parts of your life. And so there's pros and cons to that. But then the other end of the spectrum is satisfaction, right? When can you say, I have enough? I'm satisfied with what I have, and I'm enjoying every moment, and I'm enjoying being here right now, and I'm grateful for every opportunity I've been given, and I'm grateful for what is in my life currently, because I know it's not all permanent. And there's a really, really screwy balance, and it's a beautiful dance that we'll probably be dancing for the rest of our lives, unfortunately, you and I and everyone here. But it's understanding that and talking about it is incredibly difficult. And I know you hear this probably all the time, because I consider myself an old soul, because I've been told it for years and years and years. You are an old soul, and you are wise beyond your years for being only 18. I treat you completely like an equal. I treat you completely like a peer. So don't think this is me talking down onto you, because it's absolutely not the case. But as somebody who was interested in those same topics at 18, it is so freaking awesome to see how much your podcast has grown. So I wanted to say that at the beginning. I forgot to, so I'm saying it now. But wrapping back up with that conversation of that gratitude versus that satisfaction, or the gratitude versus ambition, I'd love to hear your take on this as it's changed since we last spoke.
Yeah, and this is something that is always changing in my life, where I go through phases all the time where the balance is always shifting, and it's gotten to the point where I question balance and how we define it. I think most people see balance and they imagine a scale, and they imagine there being this point, and the scale is kind of like this, and eventually it finds an equilibrium and settles out. But that is not how life works. Life is so much more dynamic than that. And so balance isn't about finding one point and saying, oh, cool, I found it. It's about experimenting, because you might find that balance for a day, and the next day something happens and you have to readjust. And life is so unpredictable that whatever balance I talked to you about last time that I had in my life is so different now. And it was probably different 2 days ago, right? Currently, what I've found is that I previously had become imbalanced in sacrificing what I had inside for the outside. I am so lucky that my personal growth journey started where I think it has to. It started with myself. I started working out. I would wake up at 5 a.m. I'd go for runs. I would meditate. I would take cold showers. I'd do all that stuff. And at some point I said, okay, I need to see some results outside of me. I think my ego got involved. A 16-year-old on social media seeing people make money, so that's what I started to try to do. And over a 2-year span, eventually the balance went from
Your mic just cut out. Okay, well, while Jack figures out his mic, we are just going to continue. I'm sure it's just a small thing. Just yap if it... Okay, you got it. Okay, sick. I was just going to start filling space. Continue.
Yeah, sorry about that. Basically, I shifted the balance away from those practices that were keeping me grounded in who I was. And I became consumed in creating something outside of me. And at some point I realized, like, that is not how this is going to work, right? I am the source of everything I'm creating. So in order for me to create something sustainable and great, I have to feed that source. And just recently, just within the past month, I've been really, really honing in on my meditation again, and my journaling and introspection, and more of something that I didn't think of that much previously, but manifestation, I guess you could call it. And man, when I tell you that even if stuff isn't going as well outside, you just feel so good on the inside. And it makes everything better. And when you do feel that way, stuff just starts to fall into place.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot, and I think we're kind of saying the same thing in different ways, and I think how you package a lot of the wording around this it dictates just how many people actually listen to you. Because the unfortunate part about being in tune with how important gratitude and presence and spirituality really is, you sound like a crazy person to people who aren't in that realm, right? You sound like okay, psycho, whatever. I don't care. Let me go back to doing what my normal life is, right? But the people who are the thinkers, the people who are trying to approach life and improvement from a different perspective, it's about how you package it. And something that I've been found that's very effective for kind of opening conversations around this mental wellness is, I think, kind of a good basket to put it all in, is kind of taking care of your soul and taking care of your mind. And I call it stillness, right? Meditation is a form of stillness, right? It's a form of, there's no stimulation. It's just me, right? Journaling, it's a way to get out of your head. I say a problem written is a problem halved. And it's been so incredibly helpful for me to get out of my own head, because that's one of my, biggest weaknesses, is that I do get very much into my own head. I do ruminate intensely on things that I don't need to be stressed out about. Or if I've solved the issue, then so be it. But a lot of kind of what you're mentioning within your growth is just chasing this feeling of stillness inside, right? And that's really hard for a lot of people. And a lot of people listening to this who are 30, 40 with kids and a job, and they're working a 9 to 5, and they're holding up a household, and they hear, I'm 24, you're 18, two younger guys talking about how important this is. They're like, oh, you don't know what it's like to live a real hard life yet, which I don't think is true whatsoever. We've both gone through some pretty severe experiences and have seen a lot about life. You've seen so much of the world, going to all over the place. You were traveling a whole bunch this year. You go to Iceland or something, right?
I was Sweden, yeah.
Sweden, okay, yeah. Love all my Scandinavian countries. Want to hit all of them one day. Yeah. But we can talk about that in a second. But the big thing that I found that has helped me internally, that I wonder if you've studied this at all yet, it's more on the spirituality side a little bit, but the idea of detachment. I think so much stress and so much inner turmoil that takes us out of that gratitude is this feeling of scarcity. And I don't know, since you're studying philosophy, you probably heard the name Carl Jung. Carl Jung talks about this a lot, where a lot of people, and I think it's super prevalent, especially to the folks that I'm working with that are trying to lose weight, and they're burnt out, and they're people pleasing, and they're just working their tails off, and they feel like there's not enough time in the day, especially for themselves. The stress and this overthinking often comes because we're trying to control the situation in front of us. We're trying to control the future. That's a lot of what anxiety is too much thought about the future. So when we talk about minimizing anxiety, what you're trying to do is predict outcomes of things that haven't happened yet. I'm predicting all the best case and mostly worst case scenarios of things that could happen to me in the future and causing myself to suffer in the present. I'm guaranteeing my suffering because I'm sitting here suffering on it now, when in reality, I should detach from that because I know that I cannot control the future. So instead of giving myself anxiety, trying to control everything, it's about developing a trust or a detachment from that, to where I trust myself. I'll be able to take care of things, right? Like my car battery died the other day, like literally 2 days ago, out of nowhere. I got jumped, drove home, went and bought a battery, replaced it last night. I'm good. We're good. I trust myself to handle stuff like that because I just trust myself. I have enough self-belief because I've done enough stuff that I know is harder than this. And I feel like people lack that self-trust because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen in a week. But if I can try it, and this is easier said and done than in practice, I can spend more time right here, right now. If I can spend more time right here, right now, and not more time 3 weeks down the line, or something that happened 2 weeks ago that I'm pissed off about, and just be here, then whatever rolls my way, I can handle it. I'm gonna detach from anything that I can't control, right? If you center on maximizing what's in your control and minimizing what's out of your control. Any of my clients watching this have heard me say that about 1,000 times, because it is one of the biggest keys to reducing stress and anxiety, period.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot control so many things in your life. And I think that is such a scary thing. And so many people do not, although they understand that intellectually, their actions and their thoughts, they don't reflect that idea. And so much anxiety comes from the want to control more. And the ironic thing is that while people seem to want more control in their lives, the common thing is to then blame things when things go wrong. So if you do want more control in your life, and you're listening to this, and you're thinking, all right, I want things in my life to change, I want to have more control in my life, I'm tired of thinking of all these outcomes and not knowing what's going to happen, then take more responsibility. Because you can't complain about your anxiety and don't be so anxious when you're also making excuses for things that maybe you could have changed. So the hardest thing and the big thing blocking this in the middle, if you think about a road and you got a roadblock, that's your ego, because you don't want to take responsibility for certain things. You want to be able to blame it on someone because it makes it easier, but easier is almost never better. And what I've learned is like, all right, that thing happened. I don't know, maybe a podcast episode really didn't go well. Maybe a guest canceled on me. What happened? Like, I could just say, oh, they were having a bad day or whatever, and that would feel good for me to blame it on some external source. But if I look inward and I say, what did I do in this situation? What did I do differently? What can I fix? What can I do better? This is my fault. That's when stuff's going to change. That's when the needle starts to get moved. And I think that's the most powerful thing you can do.
Sorry, I muted myself. I was taking notes while you were talking because I'm connecting some more dots here and just kind of taking notes on our conversation. But I completely agree. I'm not sure if you were familiar with Jocko Willink. He talks about the idea of extreme ownership. I'm sure you are, the way you're reacting. So that's kind of a really great way to connect the dots. You know, if you feel unhappy with where you're at in your position in life, you feel like you have less control and a ton of anxiety and there's nothing that you feel like you can do about it, the easiest way to do is call yourself out on it and realize, okay, I'm anxious because I'm trying to control the future, when instead I should be trying to control the present, where I can control something that is in my control. And when you can do that, what translate is a maximum level of responsibility. So the big thing that I talk to when I'm working with clients, whether it's weight loss is a good vehicle for it, because it is about self-awareness. What are you good at and what do you suck at? Right? You got to be able to say that to yourself. What are you good at and what do you suck at? If you know your own strengths and weaknesses, that level of self-awareness allows you to take control over the actual situation. So many people are shooting blind because they think they want more control. They think they can make more money when they have more control and they take on more responsibility, or they think they can get the physique because they take control and start going to the gym. But in reality, if you don't know your strengths and weaknesses, you don't have that own self-awareness, nothing is going to change. And when you don't have that own self-awareness, most of the time, people bite off more than they can chew. And when they bite off more than they can chew, they fall off on whatever journey it is, whether it's starting a podcast, building a business, losing 100 pounds, building a bunch of muscle, getting into bodybuilding, moving to fucking London, whatever it is. They bite off more than they can chew, and when they fail 2 to 3 to 4 weeks in, then that lowers their self-trust. And it starts the cycle back over again. That keeps them exactly stuck in the same position. And then it goes from the same cycle. I'm anxious about my current situation. I'm thinking about what could possibly go wrong in the future. I want to solve that. Let me try to take more control of what is in my control. But then I'm not going to be self-aware about what I'm good at and what I'm bad at because my ego is getting in the way. And because my ego gets in the way and I'm not going to call myself out for all the bullshit that I'm actually doing that is harming me, I'm going to make the same mistakes because I'm going to be overly ambitious and bite off too much that I can chew. So then I'm going to fail in 4 weeks, and then I'm going to feel bad about failing. feeling failure and feeling that guilt of failure. And then I'm going to get anxious about my situation again. And then the cycle completes.
Isn't it funny how so many of us feel bad for feeling bad?
Yes, the shame and the guilt is ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. And I think it's always existed, but I think it's existed in different vehicles in history. I think largely through earlier times in America, it was shame through family and religion. So through the church, through fitting into the box that society wanted you wanted to impress the people around you. That's always been the case. But I think different religious groups, religions will really kind of promote this, shaming them into to acting a certain way or not feeling a certain way. Family members with certain beliefs might make you feel that way too. But nowadays, especially for younger guys in their 20s or so, it's mostly coming from social media. It's like, oh, you're not a millionaire that's 6 foot tall that has a bunch of women just becking, calling at him all the time? Pfft, fucking loser. And it's creating these false expectations. And that shame is real from shit like that, though. That shame is real, and it's emanating in a lot of guys that I work with. I work with dudes that are 23, busting their tail off, working 70-hour weeks in blue-collar fields, making good money, but they hate themselves. They hate their situation because they feel guilty, and then they never learn how to communicate those things to anyone or themselves, and then it leaves them stuck.
Yeah, and a point where I see this so much, and it's actually scary, is with men, young men, boys, teenagers, and their bodies. I feel so grateful because I, for one, am in very good shape, very happy with the shape that I'm in. And two, I'm in good enough shape. And I don't care about how much I'm eating. Like, I just ate 2 burritos before we got on this. I made 2 burritos with a bunch of chicken. So good. And then I'm like, I'm still hungry. So I spoonful of peanut butter and had some carrots and hummus. Like, I love to eat food. And I don't care. I might be able to be a little bit leaner if I didn't, but that's not what I'm optimizing for. I'm optimizing for feeling good. And so many of my friends and people that I'm around, you look at their feeds on social media and it's dudes flexing in the mirror. For one, like, what? And they are constantly, I know some jacked dudes that feel really terrible about how they look. And it's like, come on, dude. This is what we're putting our focus on. We feel shame. So many young men feel shame for these things. And it's like, you don't want to be on steroids. You don't understand. And the inaccurate picture that social media paints of all these glamorous things, people probably faking shit too, the effect it's having on our generation of young men is crazy. And I don't know how to shift it, but I think it's through conversations like this and continuing to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah. I was actually just on I had another guest on right before we recorded this together, and his name's Jonathan Jacobs. His episode will be coming out right before yours, and he's doing a good job of kind of shaping the conversation a little bit more, because you're 100% right. It's an expectations game, and it's like, imagine how ridiculous it sounds if you were to let's take a bodybuilder from like 80s and 90s, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Everybody knows Arnold. Okay, imagine printing off magazines and shoving Arnold Schwarzenegger in the face of every young American boy. This is what you should look like. This is what you should look like. This is what you should look like. This is what you should look like every single day to every younger guy from ages 12 to 24. And you made them make sure that they had to look that way, otherwise they weren't good enough. That's what's happening in social media. Imagine how ridiculous that sounds when you had a magazine, you just like shove that into a kid's face. That is the equivalent of what is happening now to our teenage guys in their early 20s, guys in their mid 20s, guys that are millennials, dude. It's happening to anyone who kind of grew up on social media. And so when you talk about action steps to move forward from that, I want to get your opinion on this. But you made a point earlier that I wanted to touch on really briefly. You talked about, you have a good physique. I think you could be a fucking fitness influencer if you needed to, because you do have you are very physically fit and you don't talk about it, which is rare, right? Especially in this age of extreme vanity and greed and whatever, right? But I think what's kind of caused this obsession with ambition and glorification of ambition, like, you should be working hard. I think we both agree. Like, hard work is really good for you. It's really good for you. And a mental, physical, spiritual level, it is fantastic for you. But being obsessively ambitious about everything you do is not healthy. There's periods of imbalance, but the expectations that people are setting on themselves are so steep. And I heard Alex Hormozy, who is all about grind set, and I learned a lot from him. He talked about it's diminishing returns are still returns, right? He is so far down the grind, optimize, ambition, and he's done fucking tremendously for himself, right? And he has a ruthless, very simple approach to business, which has taught me a lot as a business owner. But he says the difference between somebody who's like top dog versus really good is I'm not just gonna optimize, I'm going to perfect, right? Because the idea of diminishing returns, if I can get to 90% with relative, not relative ease, but 90% without completely ruining my life, I'll do it. The people who are obsessed and overly ambitious say, I'm going to get to that 100%. I do not care what it costs. Right? Even if the returns are slightly lower, even if I gain a little bit less muscle. Top bodybuilders, they're not gaining that much new tissue anymore. It's a race of mastering their posing, mastering their cycle, and getting just an extra couple pounds of muscle here and there. Right? It's not like they're growing a ton of new tissue. Business owners, you're making $1 million a month. How can you scale it to 10? How can you scale it to 100? Right? And so it's just this never-ending cycle. And I found this very interesting, and the context was in like more of a political take, because they were talking about capitalism at large. That's not necessarily the point I'm trying to make here. But the only thing in nature that is expected to grow repeatedly, nonstop, continuously, with no stopping point, do you know what it is? It's cancer.
Bacteria.
Cancer.
Damn.
Yeah. Because that's what happens. The cancer cell grows and grows and grows and grows and grows, and that's why, you have to suppress it with radiation and then whatever, right? But that's what cancer is. It's malignant cells that are repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. Through my very, very non-scientific understanding of it, layman's understanding, if you will. And so to expect this from ourselves is incredibly unrealistic, right? And to expect this from ourselves consistently in every branch, in every arm of our lives, is setting unrealistic expectations. And setting those steep of expectations is guaranteeing disappointment, and it's leaving people stuck. So I want to get your take on this before we talk about it, but what would you think, as someone who has talked to a lot of people who have, I won't say mastered gratitude, because I don't think it's something you can master, but people who have been very introspective and very committed to improving their mental wellness. What do you think the answer is? Because I don't see the government doing anything about it, and I don't see corporations doing anything about it. So it's on us.
Yeah. Well, you're always going to be able to push more. And that's the one thing I've known that for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Us ambitious people, we're always going to find another goal. Another goal post to aim for. We're always going to push ourselves further. So there's no stopping that, right? I don't think there's any stopping of us pushing ourselves more, because there's always room to grow. And that's amazing. Honestly, that's one of the most beautiful things in life. But the fact that we're never stopping means that we need to do it sustainably, or else you're going to get forcibly stopped. Because something's going to come along and it's just going to smack you, and you're not going to have the energy to get back up, because it's a lot and it's hard to keep pushing yourself. But pushing yourself is very important. But you have to be okay with where you are now. And this is where so many people mess up. But the one thing that I've learned, like the biggest thing that I've learned, and this is the entire concept of the duality of gratitude and ambition, is that if you are able to cultivate some sense of gratitude and some sense of, okay, right here, I do want more than.
He's having a couple short mic issues, but one quick quote that I got from my dad, actually, that I think is something that really, really hits what you're saying is gratitude. I got it pulled up on my phone right here. Give me just a second. It says,
All good.
gratitude turns what we have into enough.
Yes. I love that. And
Yeah.
I think that when we can say we're living in enough right now, it honestly gives us more confidence in going for more. And that's the most beautiful thing. Because if right now you're like, man, I got a roof over my head. I love my life. I got people around me that I love and that love me, and they got me no matter what. And I'm so grateful. I know not everybody has that. But having this base of like, I got people that got me no matter what. I got food from these people if need be. I know that I could go crash on a couch in like probably 7 different countries. Like I know that I'm good. So that lets me push my bar even higher and even higher. And for the people that don't have all of that, like you have something right now in your life. When you wake up, one, you open your eyes. You're alive. You know, I don't know if you've heard about the science of how freaking crazy it is that we are alive and what a lottery it is that you are the one here. But one, you can be grateful for that. Two, if you're waking up, hey, you got sleep. Hey, that's good for you, right? Like you can always find something to be grateful for. And when you're allowing yourself to say, you know, something right now is good, that's when you can have a more sustainable push forward so that you don't end up like a cancer cell and just keep duplicating forever before you get smacked and burnt out.
Yeah. The big thing that I've been really hammering recently is, and I understand it because I used to think it was a bunch of hubbub. I used to think it was a bunch of crap. The idea of a gratitude or abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. It's just a bunch of gross buzzwords that people don't think mean anything. And I'm trying to find other ways to frame it to people so they don't hear those buzzwords and immediately write it off. But what you're saying, because I work with a lot of people that are a lot of my clients specifically, like are all over the spectrum and different like creeds, religions, workforces, financial standings, like all these things are very like a bunch of different types of people. And so what I have seen is the people that succeed on a regular basis they have the ability to understand that they do have enough and they do have the blessings. It's the people who are constantly focusing on what they don't have. It creates this scarcity mindset, but not in a good way. It's one thing to like, okay, have you heard the idea of Columbus or one of the explorers, one of the Spanish or Portuguese explorers burning all of his boats? It was the guy who invaded the Aztecs. I cannot think of his name right now. That happened, I think, a couple Spanish and Portuguese explorers. They burnt all of their ships down, burned the boats, right? Yeah. It's one thing if you're making the decision that you have no way to turn around. It's another thing when you feel like you were backed into that decision by outside sources, right? It's one thing to drive a boat out there, park it, and then burn it down because that was your plan. You made that decision. I chose this. It's a whole nother thing when you feel like that just happened to you, right? Life is inherently unfair. Sometimes people get backed into that corner where they feel like they don't have anything, you know? Like life, I've seen life fall out from under people standing that had good foundations. like in an instant. And so when you feel like you have nothing, or you feel like you're not giving yourself a way out, I have no way but forward, basically, you hit rock bottom. It's one thing if you put yourself there on purpose for growth. It's another thing when someone else puts you there. And that it's a really, really big mind screw. And so that scarcity mindset is very scary for a lot of people to deal with. And that's what leads to so much burnout, is because they're just in survival mode constantly. It's like, if I take one step back, I am falling into a hole that I might never get out of. Whether it's a mental depression, whether it's a financial, something financially, whatever the case is, people are going to inherently feel so much more pressure all the time. And that's where this anxiety comes from, because it's like, if I make the wrong step, I'm fucked, right? And that's what they're thinking. And people have validity in thinking those things. They aren't wrong. That's what really gets scary. It's like they're not incorrect. But when you talk to the average person in that situation who did have their back against the wall, and you have to deliver this information in a very delicate way, but you have to say, you have something to fight for, though. You've got someone there with you. And when you can amplify what you have around you, and you can realize you don't, it comes from the idea of not needing it. As soon as you don't need something, you will attract more of it, right? It's the law of attraction, right? And so if you're constantly in this feeling of need for losing weight, making more money, whatever the case is, if you can frame yourself as like, I have enough right now to get me through XYZ amount of time. If you can figure out a way to feel that peace internally and do the work needed to get to that point, it's more mental work than it is physical work too, right? Like for me, I'm still working on this, right? When I first started in the business, like I just invested every single dollar I made, like aggressively as hell. And I drove a crappy car. I worked a ton of jobs. I started the business. I didn't buy anything above my means. I lived rigorously below my means, to the point where it's like, I don't need to live this way anymore. But I'm so committed to this because I feel like I need to, right? I feel like I never set a number like, okay, this is enough, right? And so now I'm hurting myself because I never did the mental work to realize I've got enough to not let the pedal, not like fully release off the gas, but realize like, okay, I can divert energy in other places, right? I don't need to go make $10,000 tomorrow, right? If I don't, I'm good. I don't need it. And that's the biggest thing where gratitude you will gain from being gracious and focusing on the gratitudes in your life. You woke up with air in your lungs. You woke up with a beating heart. You woke up that you can go for a walk outside and enjoy the weather. You woke up with people that you can talk to, people that love you, people you can have an opportunity to go work somewhere and go do something. You got pets to love on. Whatever it is, even if it feels ridiculous and minuscule. I have my gratitude journal on here. Sometimes it's how good my coffee smelled that morning. It's something different every time. But when you can focus more energy on that, you'll start realizing that all these other things that you're chasing, you don't need as much. Now, yes, obviously, you need to pay your fucking bills. I completely understand that. But once you've shown yourself, oh, I've been paying my bills and finding a way to pay my bills my entire existence, ever since I turned 18, right? Or whenever you left your house, you know what I'm saying. But it's about developing self-trust and understanding that when you can teach yourself what you have is enough for that moment, it might not be enough for 4 weeks. It might not be enough for a year. But if it's enough for right now, it gives you the opportunity to be, okay, I don't have everything figured out. I don't know what next month is going to look like, but I've got enough for right now. I don't need, I would like more, but I don't need any more. And that is where the peace comes from and gives people space to actually create from not a place of scarcity and survival all the time.
Yeah.
That was a long rant, sorry.
No, you're good, dude. It was beautiful. And as organisms, we are hardwired to be in survival mode, right? That is what our brains are trying to do. But the beautiful thing is, as humans, we're conscious. And so the beauty of consciousness is that we get to reframe our reality. And our reality is to reflect what we believe. And the hardest thing is shifting from I need this to, it's okay, I'm good. And no matter how many, we can tell ourselves I'm good, but it's about what you actually believe. And belief, real belief, is not what you're thinking consciously, it's what you're thinking about when you're asleep, right? It's what's hardwiring into your brain. And the only way that you can truly shift your belief is by taking action beyond your belief. It's by doing something yourself that you did. You weren't forced to do it. It's like it's the burning the boats thing. You burned your boats. And there's an amazing, amazing segment of one of the best podcasts ever. It was David Goggins on Andrew Huberman.
For those of you that don't know, Jack is, if you're listening to this on Spotify, Jack is about to like punch his mic in the face. It keeps cutting out randomly on him.
This does not
okay,
happen.
there you go. You're back. You're back. You're good.
Not. I'm sorry about that for you and all
You're
your
good,
listeners. Man. I'm not used to mic.
They're used to me screwing up at least once or twice on a podcast, dude. So I run a pretty tight ship over here. Not really.
But all right. So what I was about to say is that Andrew Huberman talks to David Goggins about the power of doing things that you do consciously that are hard, right? And the difference this makes. And so there's this certain brain area. I'm forgetting. It was very specific, but you basically build up this brain area the more that you do things that are difficult that you did in your power.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, you say, I'm going to do this workout, and I'm going to go whatever, two reps beyond what I'm comfortable with. Because I know a lot of people that work out and they do the same thing. Like, come on, progress, right? And so you're gonna push yourself. And when you do that, and you push yourself to do that yourself, you're growing this. And this is when you grow as a person. And this is when you start to grow your belief, because you prove to yourself that you can do this. You proved it with evidence. And then, on the other side of that, you have yourself being pushed to do things that you don't want to do. And that's when you're losing control of your life, right? Like, let's say you did miss a bill, and something bad happened, and that's out of your control, because you missed the bill, and something ends up happening, right? That's happening to you. It's something bad happening to you. You didn't choose that, and that starts to shift your belief in the other direction. So it comes back to really just...
Okay, you got it. There you go.
Yeah, but just taking accountability and doing things that are harder and pushing yourself, and that's only something that you can do for yourself.
Absolutely. A big thing is it's a meme, and I told Ashley this one day, and she started laughing because she's seen it's like a werewolf meme, but if you think about it, there are two wolves inside of you. If you think of it as like a negativity wolf and a positivity wolf, she's giving me a face as she walks past me right now. Whatever one you feed is the one that's going to grow.
Yes, dude.
If you are constantly feeding the negativity, what the fuck do you think you're going to be feeling all the time? And it sounds so simplistic, and it's so easy for us to say. So the last part of this podcast, before we wrap up, I want to start talking about some practical ways to really do this for the average person. Because you and I would not consider the average person, because I don't see the average Joe Schmo talking about gratitude, introspection, studying philosophy like us little nerds like to do, right? That's not the average person's desire. So I want to come up with some practical ways, and if you have anything, I'd love to hear it. But for me, the biggest thing that I found benefits from is community, talking to other people, and dropping the fear of failure by just taking accountability and taking radical action. If you can take radical action and let yourself be scared and let yourself do it with the fear of failure very prominent in your system, that's the only way to get better. If your desire is to get better at running on a track, think literally like high school track and field, pass the baton sort of track, and if you have spent your entire life sitting on the fucking bleachers You will never know what it's like to be a champion runner if you don't get on the track and be the slowest motherfucker out there. You have to do that. You have to do that first. It's like starting an account on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. Your first video is going to be a pile of turds, dude.
Yes.
It's going to. No one's going to watch it. Your first business offer is going to suck. Your first sales call is going to be terrible. Your first lift of a bench press, your first ever rep of a bench press is going to look like shit. It's okay. That's the only way through. And that's the biggest thing is people are so scared. It's their egos. It goes back to the egos. Drop your fucking ego. You have no one to impress. And when you realize you have no one to impress, I always like to say, if they're not feeding you, fucking you, or going to your funeral, who cares? Okay? And if you can remember that and have that perspective that nobody is thinking about you, it's very freeing. Right? And you won't ever really notice it or know it for real as a truth until you experience it. Right? So to wrap all of that up, what I like to do is communicate some of these thoughts with my friends. Communicate some of these thoughts with the people around me. Don't just let it be all in your head. Talk to your family, talk to your spouse, talk to your friends, talk to your coworkers about this. Like, bounce these thoughts off of people. Some of them will not resonate with some people, and that's completely fine. But to overcome some of these pain points we talked about today, like analysis paralysis, fear of failure, scarcity mindset, this feeling of constantly being in survival mode. When you can feel like you're not completely alone in those feelings, and you can lead a conversation with vulnerability. One step that I'm really encouraging a lot of my friends and people in my community to make is leading conversations with vulnerability. I want everyone in the Big Fella brand that represents the brand to be really fucking good at having really difficult conversations, because the quality of your life is directly dictated by how you do that, in my opinion. And if you can start difficult conversations with people and finish difficult conversations with people, you can do anything. Genuinely. So many people are scared of judgment. But if it's somebody that you truly care about, and you can have that difficult, uncomfortable conversation where you're like, hey, I'm going to say this to you, Jack, in full vulnerability, right? And you can just say it to them openly, and they can reciprocate that. They are then going to feel more inclined to share something back with you, especially if you're a guy. Especially if you're a guy, right? Because guys don't want to feel like a burden. But if you can have these conversations and share, hey, I'm struggling with this, they'll either be struggling with the same damn thing or struggling with something similar, and you guys could be as a team. So now you're not just cycling like a psychopath in your room alone thinking all these thoughts and you have no idea what to do with them. When you can put them in, it's easier to take action when you're on a team. It's not a solo sport.
And for all the dudes out there, obviously this is for anyone, but especially the guys that are scared of what people are gonna think, man, you know how many times I've opened up to another guy and they've been like, man, I've just been waiting to talk about this shit for a long time, and I'm glad to have you to talk about it with. Because it feels, and then you start, that's one person in the group, then you talk to another guy, and then all of a sudden you got a group of guys that are really open with each other. And you know how good it feels to know that these guys, they got your back and that you can talk about anything. And honestly, if you open up with someone and they're like, man, that's deep, and then that's all they say, all right, they're not the guy for that, and
you lose nothing. You lose nothing.
They're not gonna go around and no one wants to make fun of whatever that stuff is, and if they do, fuck them.
Your life isn't going to be any different. Your life isn't going to be any different. If they don't respond to positivity like that, then you don't want them in your life anyway.
Exactly. Get them out of there, because they're not doing good for you. The more that you are just yourself, and as hard as it is to start that conversation, I know you got it playing 20 times in your head. Trust me, I still get that, right? How do I want to start this? You start it, you say those first words, dude, your life is going to get so much better.
Yeah, I mean, the last kind of thought I wanted to put on this is so many guys like to talk about oh, nothing's better than sitting around the campfire late night talks with the boys. You know, that's a big thing that every peak male experience, you know. You know, whether you got brewskis with you, whether you got some s'mores with you, whatever it is, right? That gives men a third place. That gives men a space to just talk, be authentic, yap about what's on their mind without judgment. It's kind of like a hidden code amongst guys. And you'll get a lot of insight and retrospective from these conversations. Dude, you can have them whenever you want. They don't have to be in a group setting around a campfire twice a year on 4th of July and one other time you went, you know, did a bonfire, right? So if you are someone watching and listening to this who wants to reduce their anxiety and wants better for their life and wants to stop feeling like they're in survival mode 24/7, listen to some of the words that Jack and I were talking about today, but more than anything, lead with vulnerability first to the people you're speaking with. Like, share some of these thoughts that you're having, because then you'll realize you are not struggling with this stuff alone. I can tell you that you're not struggling with this stuff alone, but until you actually see it and hear it come out of people that you trust mouths, you won't actually get through to anything. You're not going to actually take any action off of it. So make yourself not feel so alone. Gratitude is not a solo sport. It is a team sport. Once you can have that first part open, then you can start taking action without fear of failure. Then you can start actually taking control of what is in front of you. Then you can take those baby steps forward and be okay with screwing up, because newsflash, brother man, you are going to screw up like 1,000 times. 1,000 times.
Can I add something to that real quick?
Absolutely. Please do.
The perfect... So I had this guy, Nick Pollard, on my show when I first started, like my first big guest, the People Displeaser.
Oh, I like him. Yeah, he's cool.
He's awesome. And something he said that's always stuck with me is the perfect version of you is boring as shit. The perfect version of you that you're spending all this time and energy trying to uphold is boring. You don't want to be friends with someone that makes no mistakes. And that's the version of you that you're so afraid to lose. No one actually thinks you're perfect. And the people that try to be perfect in your life, you probably think of them as stuck up and boring, right?
Yeah.
You like the person that's vulnerable, that has problems, because every...
It's getting funny at this point, dude. It's actually getting funny because you were fired up too. I feel bad. We'll let Jack finish his point, and then we'll let Jack plug his beautiful podcast and everything else on social media, and we'll wrap up here soon enough. But keep going, brother.
Yeah, I was just saying everybody's got something to be vulnerable about. And the other thing that I wanted to add, just with the talk about friendship, is tell your homies you love them. Like, I just got off the call with my best friend, and I go, love you, dude. Like, that, when you can get to that point, man, life is, it's amazing.
Life is fucking electric when you tell the homies you love them. Simple as that, man.
100%. Yeah,
simple as that. All right, brother.
With that conversation.
Yes, open up. Start the conversation. If you can have other people on the same team, it makes everything else easier. Stop trying to play a football game with one player on your team. It's not going to work. Yeah. All right, brother. Give me a plug. Drop me with a nugget of wisdom after you plug everything, and that'll be our outro.
Sounds good. So
I'm going to put you on your spot.
As I said at the beginning, I'm the host of the Grateful Podcast. The Grateful Podcast with Jack Wagoner, it's called. 110 episodes. You can find me at Jack Wagoner on Instagram, YouTube. I don't really post on Twitter, but Twitter. I'm growing LinkedIn right now. Anywhere you can find me. Love it. And normally, my mic doesn't cut out, so you'll get an even better auditory experience than what you saw today. And what I want to leave you with is that your life is going to look the exact same until you actually change something. So your life is never going to change unless something that you're doing on a daily basis changes. Your life is a constant string of the present moment. And so if something in the present doesn't get changed, your future won't either.
Nothing changes if nothing changes, baby. This has been Jack Wagoner. We'll probably have him on in the future just because we like yapping about the same stuff. Jack, thank you so much, brother. By the way, if for anybody listening on Spotify, I mean, his name will be in the title, but when you guys are searching him up, it is Wagoner. Wagoner. I thought it was Wagner for a while, not Wagoner.
Yeah.
So Wagoner, host of the Grateful Podcast. Go check him out. He has had some freaking amazing podcast guests. He is so much further ahead than me when I was 18. So, yeah, go check him out. And he's got some really solid content if you're just trying to improve your mindset, improve your life, because a lot of people think it's woo-woo, but I think you and I are living proof that is real. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I love you. Subscribe. Do all the fun stuff on YouTube. You know what I'm talking about. I love you to death. Keep it simple, big fella. And stop.